do you ever feel like, or you might not have felt the sensation yet, but I feel like you might, well, or at least soon, of how like the current education system, while not perfect, is really really broken, and how it always feels like it's just always spoon feeding you baby information that's just too easy, and that we all know is just the bare stuff the administration or what curriculum's just trying to do to get by and just send you off somewhere else where you're someone else's problem, right? And you feel like this, and you go to these institutions expecting them to give you some magic knowledge that'll help you somewhat get a job or pursue that dream you actually had. And for me, and a lot of people I know, it just never felt that way. And again, for all these other IB kids like me who have to trek 1 hour to school and 1 hour back, so 2 hours, it feels like there's just a bunch of time that's being wasted by going to school. And for that reason, we skip basically many, many days. And that's not a problem. Our parents are cool with it. But the thing is, the only problem they have is that phone call that got on someone would say, hey, your son was absent periods 1, 2, 3, and 4. And yeah, while my parents don't care about me skipping school, they have a big problem with that phone call coming home. So we kind of came to a resolution where if I could automate essentially the phone calling to the attendance line that I'll be absent on whatever days for whatever reason, then that will all be cool. My parents won't get a phone call, and my teachers, they'll just see excused absence on the attendance list and won't get mad at me and give me N's and S's again. You don't even know, bro. My history teacher, I was only here, well, to be fair, for 4 days this semester, and yeah, I got cussed out for that. But that's a story for another day. Now I want to Skipper and how that works, and how I actually got the extra time to build Skipper, which is by skipping school. The way Skipper works is that it connects to my calendar, which I have here. Oh, we don't need to see all the other events, but it focuses mainly on my Skipper calendar, which is a specific calendar I set up on my Google Calendar where I log in my planned absences for the week. For example, I plan to be absent on Wednesday through Friday this week, and pretty much the entire week except Wednesday for the next week. And what Skipper does through the Google Calendar API, it takes all the skip events for the current school week and then parses this to send to an LLM. And it's actually smart in that it uses the current date and only searches from that date to the end of the current school week. So for example, if we ran the program today, it would only search for Friday. But if we ran the program on Monday, it'll search from Monday to the Friday of that week. If we, for example, run on Saturday, since it knows that the current school week is over, it'll search for the next week. So it is smart. And then what it does is it takes all these events, parses it, sends it to the LLM, running locally through Llama, where I have created a custom system prompt of how it should output text so that's easy for the TTS engine to pronounce and speak out. Plus, I've also included some personal information, so it's much more tailored, but also gave it a couple of reason categories it can use, so nothing medical, but just very vague reasons, such as family commitment, personal event, yada yada. That it can just go along and have some ideas of how to create a reason why I'd be absent. Like, for example, sometimes I'm absent just on Monday and Friday, so it can come up with saying that I had a prearranged family commitment, for example, rather than saying I'm sick Monday and Friday, which is a huge gap. It makes no sense, right? So that's a system prompt I've customly created. If you want to replicate this, I've included a generic system prompt in the repo, so without my personally identifying information, that you can use to replicate and implement this yourself. So after that phrase has been created by the local LLM, we're using the Qwen 3.5 model, we send this to the TTS engine, which is using Blazy's MLX audio, also using Qwen actually, which can clone someone's voice within 3 seconds of reference audio. So I've taken my father's voice and the reference text he was using and cloned his voice so that it sounds like he's reading that reasons for the absence and what days I'll be absent as well. Then after that audio is generated and saved in the output audios folder, it's served on a server using Flask and then tunneled to the web through ngrok, right? So after all the audio has all been made, we make a call to the Twilio API, and then we tell it to look at the link of my server, which is serving the twy.ml, which is just an XML file of what instructions to follow for the call. And then it looks through the twy.ml, which has some pausing, waiting logic, so it can bypass the instruction messages during the call, which says, okay, dial 1 to go to the absence reporting, whatever. So I've coded that all in, extension to dial as well. After all that, it then just plays the audio, cuts the call, and that's it. So that's how Skipper works. It's really simple. Scrapes the calendar using a calendar scraping function I wrote using, just the Google Calendar API. Generates a phrase using local AI through a llama, and then generates audio, again, locally through the Qwen model as well. And it serves us all through app.py, which is just the Flask app running widgets download to the web through ngrok. I'm going to just give you a quick little demo here. So we're going to start the Flask app, but also tunnel this to ngrok quickly. So now it's running on the Flask. Now it's up on ngrok. And while we create a new instance of the program, so let's do main.py. So this is the output you're going to get. It's going to first scrape all through the events. And since today is just Friday, where the week's pretty much done, and I only plan to skip on Friday, only Friday is going to show up. If I ran this next Monday, though, pretty much the entire week, except Wednesday, will show up. So while this is doing the generating the phrase and audio, so generating the phrase is pretty quick. You can see it's right here. Always a big reason. The student number digits are spaced out so I can read it properly. That's 7584221 rather than 758 421, something like that. It did that before, so I had to change that in. Anyways, while it's generating the audio using the 1.7 billion parameter model, I'll just quickly play a little demo of how this sounds.
Hello, good morning. I am the parent of Abhishan Arul Selvan, student number 758421. He will be absent on Thursday, April 9th and Friday, April 10th. This is due to a family commitment. Thank you for understanding.
So the reason I said Thursday is because I ran this program yesterday to cover my absence for yesterday and today. And right now, for demo purposes, I made it so that the number it calls from is actually my father's number. Oh, by the way, so since my father's number is a verified number on my Twilio account, the number it actually calls from to the office line is my dad's number, which is on file, so it looks more realistic and authentic. And then, so the number it's calling from here is my dad's number, and the caller is the number it's calling to is my actually phone number, which we should be able to see is actually a phone call should come through very soon after, the audio generate, so it should come very soon. There we go. So Appa, well, that's just the name of dad in my language, and let's hear how this sounds. So there's gonna be a lot of waiting because I put in that waiting logic, which is hard coded, which I should probably fix. Only way we could fix that though is with a bi-directional stream call, which is a bit tougher to implement, as then we would have to use multiprocessing to be running the streaming audio while also listening to the audio coming at the same time. But it is something I'm working on, so it's smarter, and then we can wait for the tone in the actual office attendance line. But just for demo purposes and honestly general use cases, this is more than enough. It's easy. I can input what days I'm going to be absent.
Hello, good morning. I am the parent of Abhishan Arul Selvan, student number 758421. He will be absent on Friday, April 10th. This is due to a family obligation. Thank you for understanding.
So I'm not sure if you heard that, and the phone call cut by itself, whatever. I just read out the script, sounded clean. This works honestly like 85% of the time. Sometimes the TTS just messes up and it's like blueberry glove, but I trust it enough. It works pretty solidly, and it sounds like really like my dad's voice. And it's crazy. But like I said again, for general use cases, this version I've implemented right now, where it just creates audio, saves it to a file, and just plays that out. Super easy, and it works. In the future though, I really want to work on streaming so that I can save storage. It's much faster. You can see here, this took like a solid 4 minutes of waiting from the text generation to the audio generation to the audio placing. It just takes way too long. So if we can stream the audio in chunks to Twilio, I think it'd be much better and much more efficient. So that's the future improvements I have. I also want to automate this so much that it places a call randomly at a random time in the morning from anywhere from Monday to Friday. So it's even more authentic, right? And I don't need to worry about placing the call myself, but that would involve me running a server myself somewhere at my house, like on a Mac Mini or something, if I had one, or the cloud, but that'd be really expensive. But I'm working on trying to figure that out. Also, another issue is that replicating this for anyone else might be a bit difficult because it's dependent heavily on a lot of libraries such as MLX Audio, which is tailored for Apple devices, and Alama, which I know not everyone has. So getting this up and running might be difficult for some people, but it's doable. But I want to containerize this in some sort of fashion to maybe make it easier for anyone to run on any device. So that might involve learning Docker as well. So that was Skipper. That's how it works. It's what I made out of, I guess, frustration against the school system. So instead of raging against it, I guess I made something to, so in a way, maybe the school system, broken as it is, did prompt me or did teach me something. But I guess what we should take from this is that if the system is broken, why don't we exploit it? Thank you. My name is Abhishan, and this was Skipper.